In today's video, we'll continue learning a beautiful 400-year-old lute piece that you can play on your guitar. It's called Mr. Dowlan'ds Midnight, and it sounds like this. Make sure you've watched part 1 if you haven't already, as well as my other videos on the history of tablature. Now without further ado, here is part 2. In terms of the tempo of this piece, let's not forget the title. Mr. Dowland, that's the composer of the piece, he's referring to himself. Midnight. So what does midnight represent? Darkness, depression, the absence of light, which is good, darkness, which can be haunting and scary. So maybe loneliness, being afraid, something sad. So being a sad piece like this, I think this sort of represents Dowland's melancholy. In fact, Dowland was famous for writing melancholic music, like the famous Flow My Tears, for example.
Flow my tears, flow from your springs, exiled forever, let me mourn, when night's blackbird her sad infamy sings, let me live forlorn.
So in playing this piece, I'd encourage you to keep a nice slow tempo. It doesn't have to go fast because the slow speed can sound more melancholic. In fact, slow and quiet together make a nice melancholic sound. Now before we end, we just have to talk about the rhythm and then these little dots that we see throughout the piece. In tablature, the rhythm is located above the lines, and we see these flags represent different rhythmical values. Very much like modern score, we have an eighth note that has a little flag on it. This is kind of like that. Now, historically, these have specific names like minims and semi-minims. For the sake of ease in this introductory lesson, I just want to say we're going to simplify a little bit. To use modern language and to make this make sense, we're going to think of these notes as quarter notes. So those are 2 chord notes. The first chord would be a dotted quarter note, and the second note would be an eighth note. You'll notice actually in this piece, most of the notes are just quarter notes. So if we're thinking in 4/4, most of the time we play 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just occasionally we have to do something else, either eighth notes or a dotted quarter note. So to understand the first bar, I like to think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. The dotted quarter note gets 1 and 2, 1 and 2. The next eighth note appears on the end of 2. So we'll 1 and 2 and then the next 2 are easy. 3 and 4 and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now I'll do it again, but without me actually counting. Ready, go. But in your mind, if you think 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, it'll give you the right proportion. The second measure has an easy rhythm. It's just quarter, 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 quarter. So 1 beat each. The third measure rhythm is the same as the first. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and the fourth measure is easy. 1, 2, 3, and there's nothing on beat 4. That's called a half note. When you have a chord last for 2 beats, 3, 4, that's a half note. Now, in the manuscript, the things you see that have 3 beams, these we can think of as eighth notes. In other words, that 1 and 2 and 3 and each of those things I'm counting, 1 and 2 and 3 and are eighth notes. So if we look at measure 8, we see 1 and 2 and 3, 4. So we see 4 fast notes, eighth notes, and 1 long half note. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. In other words, in each measure you count up to 4. Just listen to my recording or me playing for now to get a sense of how it's supposed to go. Now, before we call it a day, the last thing we need to know is very simple. You see dots under certain notes. The dots, as we learned in my History of Tablature video, in this case, they refer to the right-hand fingering. So 1 dot under a note means you should pluck it with your index finger. 2 dots means you should pluck it with your middle finger. It's very common in this period to place scales with the thumb and index finger. So thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index, thumb, index. Kind of like a pick. In fact, that's where the technique comes from, playing with a pick. It's actually very fast. So now I'm going to play the piece, and I want you to watch my right hand to get a sense for playing the index finger and the thumb whenever possible on strong beats, to get that sense of weak beats and strong beats, good notes and bad notes that we talked about in the previous video. If you're enjoying this free lesson and are serious about improving on guitar, I'd highly encourage you to check out my online music school, Arpeggiato. This is an online school for plucked instruments. And if you'd like to learn a plucked instrument like guitar, ukulele, bass, lute, or more, or delve deeper into the subject of tablature, we have an assortment of specialists in various instruments and styles who can give you weekly lessons on Zoom. So please check out arpeggiato.com to learn more. You'll notice that the thumb pops down and plays a lot of the second and the first string. This is normal in Renaissance lute music and gives us a really nice sense of strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, weak, strong, as opposed to, which sounds clumsy. Congratulations, at this point, you officially know everything you need to know to play this piece from a 400-year-old manuscript. Now this piece comes from an entire book of pieces in the same handwriting. I'll include a link to that book in the description. And there are countless more books just like that available for free on websites like imslp.org. At this point, you should practice this notation more, get used to this piece, get really good at it, and then once you feel comfortable, start exploring that book and discovering this music for the first time. There's hundreds and hundreds of years of music just sitting there waiting for you to play it. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss other videos I post like this one. If you want to help me make more videos like this, you can go to my Patreon, and there you'll find lots of behind-the-scenes content about what I'm up to, the videos I'm making, performances I'm giving, and you'll receive rewards like early viewing on all my videos, my CDs, and you can even get a private lesson with me. And lastly, if you're interested in learning the classical guitar, especially at your own pace at home, I have a beginner online classical guitar course called Classical Guitar Pro. It's 6 hours long, 53 videos, so I hope you'll check that out. Until next time, thanks for watching.